What's up, everybody? I'm on my way in the house. It look like twister weather out here. Like those clouds just look like it's about to form into a twister. So, okay, I'm right. I know, Symphony, we're on our way. I'm on my way home. Just came back from church. Yes, I was at church this afternoon. My daughter's in this thing called Cubbies. So I just enrolled her in this thing called Cubbies, right? And it was after I got finished going to my little group meeting and came downstairs. First of all, earlier today when we went to church, my daughter, she was in like the kids program. Evidently, my daughter must have had like a little temper tantrum because it was time to put up the toys and she was still ready to play, like, hey. And so they had to put her in another room, and some other little girls was around her trying to like occupy her and stuff like that. And so when they tell her to do something, I guess she's just like, hey, I'm going to do this. But I'm like, you gotta still tell her, no, you gotta put your toys up, and she will. She does clean up and all of that good stuff, right? And so I had to say this, and it seems like I had to say this to a lot of people, is that my daughter is in a daycare where it's Spanish speaking. So my daughter knows Spanish fluently, and she knows English as well. And so, she's at the age sometimes where if she's going to ignore you, then she's just going to ignore you and see how far she can get away with it. That's just, her trying to push her limit. So anyway, so today when I came downstairs to pick her up, another lady, because first of all, earlier today when they said that she just was a little upset because it was time to put the toys up, and I asked, was there someone who speaks Spanish too? And they were like, oh yeah. And I said, well, if you tell her in Spanish, she'll listen as well, if that would probably help too. So the girl said, I knew she spoke Spanish because she was in here, she was saying her colors in Spanish. And I'm like, my daughter speaks English and she speaks Spanish. I don't mind. I just want to make sure that I can communicate with my daughter, and I know the older she gets, she's fine. And I also know too that my daughter's very bright. She reads. She knows her words like kitchen, bathroom. I put on like phonics for toddlers. She's doing everything that a 3-year-old is supposed to do. I'm not expecting my daughter to open up an encyclopedia and start just reading the whole thing out to you and I'm not expecting her to do heart surgery. What I'm expecting her to do as a 3-year-old is to be a 3-year-old. If I say get down, stop jumping, mommy told you not to do that, oh, you hurt yourself, that's what I told you to do. See, she's 3. Those are the things that my main thing is now she's just learning how to slide down a sliding board. So anyway, today when I went downstairs to pick up my daughter, they asked the question. It was like, and this is a different group of people. I mean, the thing is, brother, is that it didn't start off like, oh, I wanted. Hey, now, it didn't start off like I wanted my daughter to speak Spanish. It just so happened that the daycare that she started to go to. Excuse me, Symphony. The daycare. Hey, I'm a plucky little girl. The daycare that she goes to, the woman is a Spanish woman. She's a Latino woman. She's straight Spanish from Mexico, and she speaks Spanish. She speaks a little bit of good English, but sometimes I would have to speak to her children when we translate. But the thing that I love about this woman is that she's very good with my daughter. My daughter doesn't cry when I drop her off, and she's happy. So she's in good hands. Hey, you ready to go in the house? You ready to go to bed? Stop biting your coat, Siffy. Yeah, so So my daughter being there from a young age, if she's in daycare, unfortunately, for almost 9 hours because mommy's at work, that's the first thing they're going to pick up is that language. And so she speaks it fluently. As a matter of fact, all of it's only 3 kids there, but all of them do, because one of the little girls is definitely Latino. I mean, she wouldn't, I hope I'm saying it right, but she looks like she's Mexican. The other baby is he's been there since he was in diapers, so he speaks Spanish too. Like, all of them speak Spanish. So my daughter actually sings Spanish little nursery rhymes, and I'm like, that sounds good. I'm trying to figure out what it means. But what can you do? The only thing I can do is teach my daughter what I'm supposed to teach her, and that's about Jesus. You know, we pray at night, and of course I teach her English because I'm English. I mean, when I first picked my daughter up and I was, having difficulties with trying to understand, and then it dawned on me, because that's what she's speaking is Spanish. So anyway, so today when I pick her up from the church after school program, they were like, the lady, she's so sweet. She was like, do you think maybe you need to get her her hearing checked? I'm like, huh? My daughter was just singing Mickey Mouse and them earlier this morning, and she says her ABCs, her 1, 2, 3. She knows her colors, her shapes. I mean, we was sitting up there looking at what's that? Blue's Clues, and she's saying chartreuse, and she knows the whole. She knows like the whole shows, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Not my daughter. And so I had to tell her and explain to her that my daughter, she speaks Spanish and she speaks English. But the more she comes around, y'all, you're going to start hearing my daughter talk. And she's not saying no little, you're going to really start hearing her speak Spanish. Like if someone was Spanish around her, they'd be like, wait a minute, did she just say this, that, and the third? But that's just my baby. That's just my baby. But the thing is that in today's society, people be wanting your kid to be like an Einstein. But remember, Albert Einstein, they said he had trouble when he was a youngin'. So I'm not expecting my baby to be a daggone scientist. You know what will make me proud? When she grows up and just serving God, spreading the gospel, just following Jesus Christ. I wouldn't care if she got how many degrees or none of that. And it's something, because when you have a baby and when you go to the doctors, the first thing they do is they give you this growth chart. Oh, she's on there. So, oh, is this wrong or that? You already dealing with that when they're young. And I'm like, I'm not doing all of that. She's 3. She's 3, about to be 4. I'm serious now. My daughter can go up the daggone steps and slide down the sliding board. She knows her favorite things, the things that she likes. Baby. She speaks, and she's doing a great job, and she's a blessing to me. And I'm not saying that these people said anything wrong, but as a mom, I really want to be like, Symphony, go ahead and speak. Like, do your thing, But when we left, I was like, say bye. She was like, bye-bye, and I'm like, but y'all wasn't thinking that my daughter could say or even respond. Excuse me. Settle down. No. You got to settle down and relax. You ready to go? Yeah, so I'm just saying from mommy mode, because some people be like, some people like, is there something? And I'm like, no. But the lady, she was so sweet, because she was talking about her husband. Hey, you ready to go bye-bye? You ready to go in the house? You ready to go in the house? That's another thing too. Like my daughter, she likes to play around with her piano, make noise on her drum. Like she's just doing what a 3-year-old is supposed to do. And that's all because she's only going to be 3 one time. You ready to go? Wait, the gate. All right, so yeah, so when we got it now, come on, let's go, bye-bye. So yeah, so I was like, hey, inside voices, settle down. So inside voices. Who you telling stop to? But yeah, so anyway, so I had to say, I'm all like, what are they talking about? Thank you, brother. I'm just like, she's 3. I'm like, her hearing is fine. She knows how to jump. She loves to run. I'm like, I just want to enjoy her while she's a baby. You ready to go? I'm just going to enjoy her while she's 3. But it's like so many people they want your kids to grow up so quick. And I'm like, every child is not the same. Every child is not the same. And I'm going to tell you something, too, that I noticed about my child is that she picks up on sound, like, and her dad is like that, too. But she picks up on sound, and she would look at a show maybe twice, and she would speak it all the way through. I've never seen a kid do that. But, hey, every child is different. Are you ready? You cold. You ready?
On the body?
I didn't say everybody. I said, are you ready? Come on. Come on. See, this is what I do, you know. Wait a minute and watch her take off. Wait, Symphony. Settle down. That's what she's doing. She's learning how to run. Seeing how fast she can go. But anyway, so I just wanted to say, like, you people got to remember that at the end of the day, it's not like my daughter's even in school. And it's like, I mean, but okay, this is the point that I was trying to get at. So let's say, you know, you got parents that they want to make sure that their kid makes the grade, right? They want to make sure that their kid gets into the top school. Okay, let's say they get into the top school. Now they became this famous person. All right, I'm back. But yeah, like what I was trying to say is that, okay, let's say for instance, come on, Stella, we're going this way. You're not pulling me today. I'm out here walking my dog. Let's say, for instance, if you got a lot of parents that want their children to be in the top schools. Okay, you put your child in the top school. Now they're going to an Ivy League or whatever type of school you want to talk about. They didn't got the class ring and made valedictorian, all of that great stuff. Then let's say they go ahead now. They're in the workplace, successful, all of that. And now they at a retirement age where they done retired. And let's say they get to the point where, okay, now this person is about to die, or they didn't die and went on to be with the Lord, but they weren't saved. They didn't know the Lord. So what's it all for then? Even when you try to say, it's like, it literally is, I'm not even going to say Ecclesiastics, Because it's even worse when you go through all of this and, oh, your child has to be this and they have to be that. But what are you molding them to be? Is it just to be great for this world or great for God? You know, so I think as a mother, the only successful thing, not even success, is getting your name written in the book of life. Like, I would support my daughter, but I would never put pressure on my daughter. And I would never be that type of mom that, oh, she has to do this, and oh, but what about that? And because I remember when she was younger, it was like, is she going to be walking? Is she going to be saying her first words? And now that she's, speaking her ABCs and all of this, should she be doing that? I'm like, all of that's in vain, for real, for real. The main issue, not issue, but the main thing is her knowing Christ. Man, to gain the whole world and lose it. You see what I'm saying? And as women, you absolutely right, brother. And as women and fathers, mothers and fathers, the main thing is to teach our children Christ. Not saying that where she was at, they wasn't teaching her that, because of course, not saying where she was at, they wasn't teaching her that, because of course they was teaching her that because she was in Bible study. But some people feel like if your child is not as advanced as they want them to be, but they have to remember that children are not going to be children always. They're not. She's only going to be 3 one time. You're only going to be 4 at one time. You know what I mean? But you see the pressures on parents. Come on, Salome. The pressures on parents, or what they put, the load that they're putting on your kids. And I'm like, I refuse to be that type of mother. My mother has always loved us, and I can truly, honestly say that my mother taught us about the Lord at a very, as far as I can remember. She taught me that when I had a nightmare, the first thing to do is to call on Jesus. I remember at 5 years old, she told me that. I remember at 5 years old, her teaching me that and saying how much God loves me. I remember her teaching me those things when I was only 4 or 5 years old. And I said, that's all I want my daughter to know, that she can do all things through Christ that gives her strength. And sometimes people try to, they'll look at your parenting skills and I'm not going to say I kind of felt like people were judging me, because they weren't, because the lady, she was so sweet and so nice, because she said that her husband said the same thing, that when he was going to a daycare, that's all he spoke was Spanish. So when the mother couldn't really understand her son, which, I could understand that, because when you are a working mom and your child is away, and see, that's why it's very important to have a system where you got the mom and the dad. If I had it my way right now, I would have been a stay-at-home mom. But hey, it's just not that way. I mean, I'm hoping and praying I can work towards putting my daughter in a private school. I really would love to do homeschool because of the teaching that's being taught out here, and I just don't want my child involved with any of this misleading out here. But anyway, going back to what I'm saying is that people put so much on a child. Like the doctor, I remember when she first started going to the doctor, he was like, can she do this? Can she do that? I'm like, yeah, she could do that. She's just not going to do it in front of you because she don't know you. I had to whip out the daggone video and show while she was she was saying her ABCs. But she know how to do, like, A is for apple. She know how to do, like, she goes down the line of it. But I'm like, most kids, if they don't know you, they're not going to put on a show. I remember years ago, I saw some parents they were trying to get their kid into some, I mean, these babies had to be like maybe 3 or 4. It was one of the top schools in New York, and they paid so much money for it. And one little girl, she just broke out crying because she wanted to be near her mom. And so, of course, she didn't make the grade in the school, right? So when she didn't make the grade in the school, the mom was like, I just don't know why she broke out crying like that. I'm like, 'cause she wanted her mom. If my daughter breaks out crying, I know what she wants. Like, my daughter's very particular. She get water on her dress, she's going kirk off. I have to bring out the blow dry, and that's because she didn't probably spill some water on her sipping out of a water glass. You know what I mean? So, I mean, she's only 3. Come on now, she's only 3. I'm not expecting her to um, walk across the stage earning her bachelor's degree at 3. It's just, I don't know. I do not know. But anyway, so they found out very quickly that my daughter she speaks Spanish and she speaks English. That's just the way it is. Do I feel guilty? I wish I would have been. No, not really. I wish I would have been. I would have loved if she was at home. She wouldn't have known how to speak Spanish. If she was not in daycare, she wouldn't have known any of that. But you got to do what you got to do. And I know one thing, that this woman who teaches my daughter, the woman who looks after my daughter while I'm at work, she's very good with my daughter. So I feel comfortable when I go to work. You know, I feel very comfortable when I go to work. She treats my daughter like her daughter. And that's the thing. I just pray every night before she goes to daycare. I ask God to just protect her and keep her, that no one will harm her. And so God has, you know, I'm grateful for that, you know. I'm grateful for that. So, but yeah, so, I mean, I'm only saying that because, you know, you start to second guess yourself when somebody says something like, have you went and got your daughter's hearing checked? I'm like, my daughter? What do you mean? I spoke to my cousin. She said, oh, she was ignoring them, huh? I said, yeah, Symphony playing them like a flute. And they asking me questions about her. They told her to put something down. She was probably like, no, I'm going to keep on doing this. She's testing you like a 3-year-old. Is there something wrong with that? No, she's only 3, meaning she's only been in this world for 3.5 years. I'm not expecting her to get behind a wheel and drive. You know, and I don't think any parent should expect their child to be, oh, they have to be valedictorian, what, at 2? Oh, you know, they started just, you know, doing that. I'm like, I'm not expecting that. I'm not. There's certain things, too, that my daughter just doesn't do that everyone else kid may do. And it's each his own. She doesn't look at shows where it's too graphic. And what I mean by graphic, like it's, because you have some cartoons that can be over the top. My daughter, for some odd reason, she may, if it's too much, she will cover her eyes. And, you know, I have to bring down that it's just certain stuff she's just not going to look at. Even cartoons. If I see that these cartoons ain't right, man, they demonic, something's not right, she's not looking at that. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, because she still enjoys, like, the old school Barney. She enjoys, like, you know, like Cat in the Hat, I Can Read, and, you know, what is it called? Little Town, Little People. But these are kids, they're meant for toddlers. Like, these are like, and then they have commercials where, you know, they're just for children. Like, I don't want any crazy pop-ups. That's just my daughter. That's just me. That's just me as a mom. That's just me as a mom. Girl, you in them bags. But yeah, that's just me. But anyway, so when I left, I was just like, what in the world? Like, and it kind of make you be like, but see, this is the thing. I should have never felt that way. Like, well, maybe the lady was just like, she just wanted to bring it up if she thought that my daughter did have a hearing issue. But she said that it was a little girl that had similar traits that my daughter was doing. And they found out that she had some hearing difficulties. I mean, when you tell me that, it's like saying you think my daughter can't hear. But the truth is she was just ignoring you. Because when we left, and I was like, say bye. Tiffany was like, bye. It was like, oh. And she started saying words, and they was like, oh. And I'm like, she's just the 3-year-old. And this is the first time that she's around y'all. So she's not going to be like, hey, you guys, how was your day today? Did you check out the weather? You know, she's not going to be like, I don't think any child is like that. Well, no, I mean, there are some children that get around people and they just start talking, but my child is not like that. When she sees other children, she will jump in and run and stuff like that. But I told them the more you see, the more that my daughter goes around, you'll start to see her talk more. But I mean, it's just like, okay, like, are you trying to compare, like, with the other children and my daughter? Because, no, I have a bunch of nieces and nephews, so no child is ever the same. So I'm just saying that, like, whatever. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that it doesn't matter, as long as your child is getting love from you, as long as you're teaching your child about the Lord, that's all that matters. You correct your baby, that's all that matters. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want my daughter, like, oh, they may have really nice little schools where they're just writing paragraphs at 3. I don't want my daughter to do that. I don't want my daughter to be writing a book at 3. I want her running and jumping, playing on the swings, seeing how fast she can go, reading. I want her to learn the name Jesus. I want her to pray. I want her to be happy. She can be banging on a piano. To everybody else, it may sound a hot mess, but to her mom, I'm going to be like, get it, boo. I just want her to be a child as long as she is a child. I don't want for people to expect, you know, I'm like, God, when you really think about it, it's like, well, goodness. I mean, she, not too long ago, I mean, it just feel like it wasn't that long ago she was in diapers. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, you know, I'm like, what in the world? Anyway, that's just me. All I can say is this, is I'm sticking with that. But the ladies, they were very nice. And I'm not saying like as if that they were just like, oh, you know. But it's just like, and once Symphony's around them, they'll understand exactly how, my daughter is. And it is not going to take a scientist. It's just, she's a 3-year-old, you know. But yeah, so that's it with that. But I know when she was young, every time we went to the doctors, now they show you this scale. Your daughter is in the 98th% growth. Like, when the heck did y'all come up with this? Well, your daughter should be doing this at that. I'm like, what is this? Oh, and I didn't even tell you, the doctor asked me last time, and I almost fell out my seat. Does your daughter know if she's a girl or a boy? I wanted to ask him, do you not know? When he asked me that question, does your daughter know if she's a girl or a boy? I said, my daughter knows she's a girl. And do you not know that you a grown man asking me a stupid question like that? Yes, he asked me that question. Her doctor, her pediatrician asked me that question. And he kind of snickered when I gave him the answer back, because evidently it's mandatory that these doctors have to ask these type of questions because it is this trans crap that they got going on around here. But I'm like, this is the wrong mama to be asking me something stupid like that. She's a 3-year-old. Okay, how can you can't even leave a 3-year-old in a tub on their own. You know what I'm saying? You can't even have a pool uncovered and walk away and just leave a 3-year-old right there. So how are you going to ask me, does she know if she's a girl or a boy? What the? Yeah. So this is where I'm getting to. Where it's just all about teaching them about the Lord, giving them much as the love you can give them, and let them not be conformed of this world, because PhDs, master degrees, valedictorian, 5 years of college, 4 years of college, high paying job, successful, none of that is going to get you into heaven. The only thing that will make me proud of my daughter is to know that she followed God. That's it. That's it. Know that she followed the Lord. Then I know, that's why the Lord says, teach a child in the way they should go. They should never depart from it. But, and those people are so nice, because they are teaching about Jesus and stuff like that. And they didn't offend me by asking a question, because now they know. Because when you have a new child, you kind of get to know them. But it made me reflect on other parents that I have to listen to the doctor. Oh, the doctor said this, and oh, we have to put a helmet on his head. Like, you had one couple, they had to put a helmet on their son's head because the doctor said he has a flat head. And I'm like, your baby looks fine to me. You really gonna have him going around here with a helmet on? Okay. Oh, we're just so worried because this. I'm like, just let the baby be a baby. Oh, the baby, it seems like he wants to do this. All he wants to do is be a baby. You know. But yeah, y'all. So I just wanted to mention that, and I'm speaking from a parent perspective of it. I am happy that I'm just so happy to have my daughter, and I'm happy that she's 3, going on 4, going on 5. It's gonna be things that she's doing when she's 5 that she's not gonna do. I mean, it's gonna be things that she's gonna do when she's 4 that she's not gonna do when she was 3. When I look back, I'm like, dang, she grew up so quick. Like, she's not even a newborn anymore. So I'm not expecting my daughter to sit up here, and but I know that when she hits school, she gonna start talking and walking. When I look back at my older nieces and nephews when they were just babies, look at how far they've come. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of share that I think that parents and people are kind of missing the whole purpose. See, babies aren't going to be babies forever. They're not going to be babies forever. And your job is not to make sure they get to the best schools. Your job as a parent is to make sure they know about Jesus Christ and accept Jesus into their lives. Teach them how to pray at a very young age. My mother taught me that when I was young, that if I ever had a nightmare, to call on Jesus. And I remember when I was young and I would be afraid, and I knew the name Jesus at a very young age. I remember one time I think I was like maybe 6. And I remember hearing that if you ask God into your life, you'll be a changed person. So I thought I was going to be a whole different person. So I asked my mom, can I ask God into my life so I can be a changed person? So she said, yeah. And I remember we were in Walker Mill playground. And I got down on my knees. And my mother stood over me. This was at nighttime, and I prayed and I said, Lord, if you can make me a changed person. I was real young. When I got up, I was like, I'm still me. I didn't know what that meant at that time. I didn't know what that meant. And I remember one time I used to pray as a little girl that I would just pray like the Lord would make me. I wanted to fly. I was like, Lord, I really want to fly. I really want to fly. And I am 36 years old. I used to pray. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm 36 years old. I still can remember one of the first dreams that the Lord gave me. It was a butterfly. I was standing. I was a little girl at the time. In my dream, a butterfly came and landed on my nose. And it just started flying away with me. And I was flying. And I looked back. And even as a young age, I remember that dream. I remember that dream, like the Lord gave me a dream that I was flying. But it's so amazing that even at a young age, that when you pray, God hears you. God hears you. And I'm going to tell you something. I remember when at nighttime, or if I was afraid, my mother told me to always call on Jesus. And I did. And I'm going to teach that to my daughter. Anyway, y'all. I know I'm rambling, just took Solo out. Y'all have a blessed day. Don't matter where your baby is in their growth patterns, just know that they belong to the Lord. And the only thing I said before that would make me a proud mom is to know that my daughter's name is written in the book of life. She's accepted Jesus Christ into her life. And she's just treated